Okay. Just us. Jayanilo Premadana Karuna Prachur Jayanilo Premadana Karuna Prachur Heno Pramukho Tagela Acharya Thakur Heno Prabhu Kahamora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Time out. We have more than 3 sheets in that closet. Oh, you didn't know?
I do actually need one, but I don't have anywhere to put it.
Oh, okay. So we're okay. And you know it? I don't know it. Let's go on. Kagrasura gunata patita pavan Kaha Mora Bhatta Juga Kaha Kaviraj Eka Kali Kota Gela Goranataraj Bhashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pashibo Goranga Gunera Nidhi Kotagele Pabo Se Sabha Sangira Sange Jai Koilo Bilas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamadas Anjanilo Premadana Karuna Prachur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur. Sridhar Ramananda Roy Ki Jai. And now we'll hear a little bit from the Samadhi's book. Let's see. Okay. Before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Roy, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told the Lord that no other devotee's knowledge of Radha Krishna's Madhurya Ras compared with Ramananda Roy's. Although Lord Chaitanya was half the age of 40-year-old Ramananda when they met, well, not exactly half, but close to half, the Lord said, "My dear Ramananda, both you and I are madmen, and therefore we meet intimately on an equal level. Outwardly, Ramananda acted as the governor of Madras, but he was a poet, a Sanskrit scholar, a dramatist well-versed in rasa literature, music, singing, and dancing. During their 10-day meeting in Vidyanagara, Lord Gauranga and Ramananda Roy discussed all points of Krishna consciousness. Go ahead. Hold on. Thank you. All points of Krishna consciousness. Empowered by the Lord, Ramananda answered all questions posed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas have given lengthy discourses on, quote, the talks between the Lord and Ramananda Roy, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 8. These talks are called Ramananda Sambad. Ramananda Roy gave a series of answers to Lord Chaitanya's first question, how to attain the ultimate goal of life. Ramananda began with Varnashram Dharma and progressed to Karma Arpana, that's karma yoga, Karma Tyaga, giving up activities, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti mixed with the search for Gyan or knowledge, Radha Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya Prema, and Radha Prema. He also described Krishna Tattva, Radha Krishna, Prema Tattva, and finally Prem Vilas Vivarta. Confirming that this was the highest goal of life, Lord Chaitanya asked Ramananda Roy how to attain it. Ramananda Roy said, without adopting the mood of the gopis and following in their footsteps, one cannot enter the confidential pastimes of Radha Krishna. There is no other way to achieve the service of Radha and Krishna within the pleasure groves of Vrindavan. The gopis don't have any desires for their personal sense enjoyment. Their minds and bodies exist only for Krishna's enjoyment. If one is greedy to taste the nectar of Gopi Bhava, spontaneous loving mood of the gopis, he will give up the world and the rituals of Vedic Dharma to perform Krishna bhajan. One who worships Sri Krishna on the path of Raganuga Bhakti will attain Brajendra Nandana in Vrindavan. However, one cannot attain the blissful association of Krishna Chandra in Vrindavan by merely following Vidhi Marg, path of serving Krishna by regulative principles. Therefore, one should accept Gopi Bhava and always remember Radha Krishna all day and night. This is a quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Purport 8, 201 to 233. I guess it's the translations. After finishing his talk, Ramananda Roy saw something never seen before. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed himself as both Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. Seeing this, Ramananda fell unconscious in transcendental bliss. In Jagannath Puri, Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, another topmost Rasika Vaishnav, joined Ramananda Roy to intimately serve Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Together they helped Mahaprabhu taste the loving ecstasies of Madhurya Ras. In his Gambhira Leela, Sri Chaitanya would stay up all night. Gambhira is a little kutir where he lived, very small. In his Gambhira, Lord Chaitanya would stay up all night enraptured in Srimati Radharani's mood of separation from Shyamasundar. Singing his own songs and the poems of Vidyapati and Chandidas, Ramananda Roy would delight Lord Gauranga with his enchanting melodies. Krishnadas Kaviraj says that when Lord Chaitanya felt intense pain of separation from Sri Krishna, only Ramananda's talks about Krishna and Swarup Damodar's sweet songs kept him alive. Ramananda Roy wrote this play called Jagannath Vallabha Nataka, which is also very famous. I don't know if it's mentioned here. Ramananda Roy was the first person to reveal the deep varieties of rasa which Lord Chaitanya privately savored within himself. Ramananda saw Lord Chaitanya as the combined form of Rasaraj Mahabhava. Rasaraj Sri Krishna and Mahabhava Swarupini Sri Radha now appeared in one beautiful, dazzling form. Lord Chaitanya once said, although I'm in the renounced order of life, still my mind is sometimes disturbed even upon seeing a wooden form of a woman. But Ramananda Roy is greater than me, for he always remains undisturbed even when he touches a young woman. Of course, even in dreams, no one should attempt to imitate extraordinary behavior of Ramananda Roy. He was touching young girls, the Devi Dasis, to portray his rasa-laden dramas by dancing in the temple for Lord Jagannath's pleasure. He would also bathe, massage, and dress the bodies of the beautiful girls. In all of creation, only Ramananda Roy possesses the quality of total self-control and absolute detachment. Upon meeting Bhavananda Roy, the father of Ramananda, Lord Gauranga said, quote, "Indeed, you are Pandu, and your 5 sons, Ramananda, Gopinath, Vaninath, Kalanidhi, and Sudanidhi, are the 5 Pandavas. Although sometimes called Arjun, Ramananda Roy eternally serves Radha Gopinath as Lalita Sakhi. Some Gaudiyas say he is Vishaka Sakhi. His samadhi is in the 64 samadhis area. Shri Ramananda Roy Ki Jai." Now I'd like to share just one verse, is Ramananda Roy's famous verse, most famous verse. The first line of this verse is the source of the phrase Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada explained that, which is very interesting. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadikutopi Labhyate Tattva Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukatayana Labhyate. So Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati, the mind mati absorbed bhavita in Krishna Bhakti Rasa. This was the origin Prabhupada gave us as Krishna consciousness. So that mind absorbed in this intimate Bhakti Rasa, Krishna Bhakti Bhavita, Kriyatam Kadikatopi Labhyate. You should buy it if you can find it in the marketplace. Yadikatopi Labhyate. But you have to know the price. Tatta Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam. The only mulyam price is the laulyam, your intense greed for it. And this is the origin of that phrase that was later misappropriated as greed is good, not material greed, this greed. Tatta laulyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukatayana labhyate. Millions of births of pious activities will not enable you to get this Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati. Shri Ramananda Roy Ki Jai. Okay. So give me 1 second to set up. And we will go to Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. All right, still have that set up. So this is... Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's back up a minute. Narayana Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 27th day of May 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Candle 7, The Science of God, Chapter 9, Prahlad pacifies Lord Nrsingadev with prayers, text number 11. Naivatmanah Prabhur Ayam Nijalabha Purno Naivatmanak Prabhurayam Nijalabha Purno Manam Janad Advidusha Karuno Vinite Manam Janad Advidusha Karuno Vinite Yad Yaj Jano Bhagavate Vidadhita Manam Yad Yad Jano Bhagavate Vidadhita Manam Touch Chatmane Prati Mukhasya Yatha Mukhashri Tachatmane Patimukhasya Yatha Mukhashri Naivatmanak Prabhurayam Nijalabha Purno Manang Janada Vidushak Karuno Vinite Yad Yad Jano Bhagavate Vidadhita Manam Tachatmane Patimukhasya Yatha Mukhashri Naivatmanak Prabhurayang Nijalabha Purno Manang Janada Vidushak Karuno Vinite Yad Yad Jano Bhagavate Vidadhita Manam Tachatmane Patimukhasya Yatha Mukhashri. Virgin. Naivatmanak Prabhurayam Nijalabha Purno Manang Janada Vidushak Karuno Vinite Yad Yad Jano Bhagavate Vidadhita Manam Tachatmane Patimukhasya Yatha Mukhashri. Okay, go ahead, Manji. We were behind. Do you want to chant? Go ahead. Naivatmanak Prabhurayam Nijalabha Purno Manam Janad Avidushak Karuno Vinite Yad Yad Jano Bhagavate Vidadhita Manam Tachatmane Patimukha Sayata Mukhashri. Na, nor, eva, certainly, atmanaha, for his personal benefit, Prabhu, the Lord, ayam, this, nijalabha purnaha, is always satisfied in himself. He does not need to be satisfied by the service of others. Manam, respect. Janat, from a person. Abhidushaha, who does not know that the aim of life is to please the Supreme Lord. Karunaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is so kind to this foolish, ignorant person. Vrinite, accepts. Yat yat, whatever. Janaha, a person. Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vidadhita, may offer. Manam, worship. Tat, that. Cha, indeed. Atmane, for his own benefit. Pratimukhasya, of the reflection of the face in the mirror. Yatha, just as. Mukhashri, the decoration of the face. Translation. Sri Prahlad offered this prayer to Lord Nrsingadev. The Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always fully satisfied in himself. Therefore, when something is offered to him, the offering, by the Lord's mercy, is for the benefit of the devotee. For the Lord does not need service from anyone. To give an example, if one's face is decorated, the reflection of one's face in a mirror is also seen to be decorated. Purport. In Bhakti Yoga, it is recommended that a devotee follow 9 principles: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. This service of glorifying the Lord by hearing, chanting, and so on is not, of course, meant for the benefit of the Lord. This devotional service is recommended for the benefit of the devotee. The Lord is always glorious, whether the devotee glorifies him or not. But if the devotee engages in glorifying the Lord, the devotee himself automatically becomes glorious. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam. By glorifying the Lord constantly, the living entity becomes purified in the core of his heart. And thus he can understand that he does not belong to the material world, but is a spirit soul whose actual activity is to advance in Krishna consciousness so that he may become free from the material clutches. Thus the blazing fire of material existence is immediately extinguished. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. A foolish person is amazed that Krishna orders, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Abandon all varieties of religious activities and just surrender unto me. Close quote. Some foolish scholars even say that this is too much to demand. But this demand is not for the benefit of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, it is for the benefit of human society. If human beings individually and collectively surrender everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full Krishna consciousness, all of human society will benefit. One who does not dedicate everything to the Supreme Lord is described in this verse as a vidusha, a rascal. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:15, the Lord himself speaks in the same way. Namam duskritino mudha papadyante naradamaha mahiyapurita jnana asuram bhavamashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, the lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Close quote. Because of ignorance and misfortune, the atheists and the Naradamas, the lowest of men, do not surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, although the Supreme Lord, Krishna, is full in himself, he appears in different yugas to demand the surrender of the conditioned souls, so that they will benefit by becoming free from the material clutches. In conclusion, the more we engage in Krishna consciousness and render service unto the Lord, the more we benefit. Krishna does not need service from any of us. Om Jnana Timurandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara. So Srila Prabhupada would often say, the Lord has nothing to do. The Lord has nothing to do. Meaning, the Lord doesn't have to do anything. You see the difference? The Lord has nothing to do. Well, what he's doing so many things in Goloka Vrindavan and in Boma Vrindavan. He comes to speak the Bhagavad Gita. He has so many things to do. But he doesn't have to do any of them. In other words, he's doing it all out of his love for his devotees and his compassion for the fallen conditioned souls and even for the demons who he kills. It's been pointed out how Hiranyakashipu was really blessed by being killed by Lord Nrsingadev. The demons, they get elevated. We know Hiranyakashipu was one of the 3 births of Jaya Vijaya, and that sped his way back to Godhead. So the point here of this verse is that Krishna is completely self-sufficient. He doesn't need any of our offerings, but he gives us the chance to surrender unto him. When he says to Arjuna and to all of us, Sarva Dharma Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam, give up all these other dharmas that I spoke about, karma yoga, whatever, and just surrender unto me. I will eradicate all of your sinful reactions that there may be. Do not fear, everything's going to be fine. Because remember, at the beginning, this was one of Arjuna's great fears, that he would be causing the upsurge of Varnasankara in society, because he'd be involved in killing all these men whose wives would then be unprotected, and there would be havoc in society. So he's wondering himself that he's going to incur sinful reactions and be the cause of the downfall of so many families. You remember that? That was one of his arguments. So Krishna is eradicating that argument. He said, no, no, no. Whatever you may do that you think is causing you some sinful activity, you just follow my instructions, surrender unto me, and all will be wiped away, and you'll come to me. That's the whole point. This is the best thing. And Arjuna says, yes, karishe vachanam tava, I will do as you say. So this is one of the points that Prabhupada often makes, and that is emphasized in our Shastra, and that Krishna himself is completely full. He doesn't need any of our offerings. It's not that he's hungry and, for some food and we offer him and then he's satisfied. He's hungry for the devotion with which it's offered. That's why he says in the Gita, Patam pusham palam toyam yome bhakti apriyachi tadaham bhakti paridam ashnami prayatadmana. He's not interested in the patram, the pusham, and the palam, and the toyam. He's interested in the love. So the whole science of bhakti, as taught to Rupa Goswami and explained in great detail, very, very systematically in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and all the writings of the other acharyas who have given us instruction, is simply a way of organizing your life in such a way that you will develop or uncover, if you will, your natural existing love for Krishna by acting. And what's interesting is a certain paradox in the whole thing, because in Prabhupada's preaching and in the books, there's all of this inducement to take this science up, because you'll go home back to Godhead, never again to take birth and suffer old age, disease, and death. That's the first thing, right? But beyond that, way beyond liberation, is to reawaken our natural relationship with Krishna and to cavort with him eternally in Goloka Vrindavan. We're not even looking to go to Vaikuntha, right? We're going to, or the highest Vaikuntha planet, if you will, Goloka Vrindavan, because there we can experience our original relationship with Krishna and attain the life of Satchidananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss, right? Go home back to Godhead. From day one, you walk into the 22nd Avenue, and you won't be long before you hear this idea, one should want to go back to Godhead, back home, back to Godhead, right? So that's an impetus to take up the process. But that's something that we want, right? We want that because we want to be free of misery, and we want to taste the highest bliss, you see? But the paradox is, the remarkable, amazing psychological fact is that in order to really experience that ultimate bliss, you have to give up all desire for it. You have to simply be concerned with Krishna's happiness, Krishna's pleasure, isn't it? That's the whole idea. I remember we had a bhakti here many, many years ago. None of you, I don't think even Balaram would know him. Nice, sincere boy. And he joined the ashram and he was chanting and everything. But he always had this tendency to say, yes, yesterday I experienced a little, this ecstasy when I was doing this and so forth. But today somehow I can't regain it, like that. He was always like focused on himself. You have to actually give that up, In other words, your overall desire is to attain the highest level of existence. But in your practical life, you say, what do I need to do now? What is my duty now? Of course, the basic program is to chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regular principles. But the rest of the day, there are certain duties to perform which are all designed to simply break down your false ego, and you become selfless, a servant of the Lord. Austerities, right? When you have to follow the 4 regular, well, okay, I don't know if I can do that. Let's see. Well, okay, I'm going to join the ashram. I have to do it, and so now I'm going to and so that's an austerity. Getting up early is an austerity. Living a simple life and no more partying and all these different things, intoxication. So those are all austerities. And you have overall the idea, yes, because I've tasted a little bit by just chanting Hare Krishna. This is the gift of Lord Chaitanya. He doesn't say first, surrender unto me. and then everything will be like, no, no, no. He says, chant Hare Krishna. Join us in this party, this chanting party. See, dancing, chanting. Prabhupada says, I have this tape. It's a famous statement he makes. It's the series of tapes called the Yoga System tapes. They're worth listening to. It's all about the 6th chapter. What Prabhupada's explaining is mostly in L.A. During like 70 or something like that, 1970, early on. Because Prabhupada experienced himself how yoga, there were these yoga studios and people were advertising as yoga that you could have, but there wasn't a tinge of bhakti in there. It was all simply you come and you practice these asanas and you'll be much more healthy, and the promise, explicitly or implicitly, is that you'll be able to enjoy more, better sex life, all of these things. Lose fat, Prabhupada said, the devotees cracked up. Prabhupada said, if you have to reduce it, why do you increase it? In other words, why eat simple foodstuffs, healthy food, you'll never get fat. He never said fat. He always said fatty. That's the adjective, right? Fat is fat, and then there's fatty. The English language is full of tricks like that. So anyway, so Prabhupada felt he had to explain what real yoga was. And he chose this 6th chapter because the 6th chapter does describe the process of meditation, which is sometimes practiced in these studios. I would go regularly. But it's just a plaything there. That, you're trying to meditate for 15 minutes or something, and you're trying to do it in the middle of a city. Krishna says, go to a secluded place, a sacred place. You think, oh, Himalayas, somewhere hardware, not 5th Avenue, not 2nd Avenue, 9th Avenue in Manhattan, But bhakti yoga can be practiced successfully right in the middle of the city, and Prabhupada proved it. He emphasized so much, and it should still be the emphasis, the chanting. He went out in the park, famously. You've seen the little video, the YouTube, black and white. He's beating that half of a conga drum. There's no question of a madanga. He's beating a dundubi, he calls it. 3 hours chanting Hare Krishna. He's got his first, acolytes there, maybe 3 or 4, a couple of dancing. And because of the time, is the hippie thing, there were all these things going on. I used to go, this was before I even heard about Hare Krishna, to Central Park every Sunday. There was always a be-in going on there. There were thousands of hippies dancing and moving around and all this thing. There was something going on, You didn't quite know what it was, but it was it was exciting, So Prabhupada going into the park was a natural thing. It was just what was going on at that time. So people would gather around and they would sit there, they would try it. So you'd see them trying to chant, some of them playing the flutes or whatever, So that's how he started it. No that you have to surrender, nothing like that. So as soon as you take part in that chanting, especially hearing from a pure devotee like that, you're feeling something, you're experiencing something. You don't know quite what it is, but you come out of it and you're feeling better, you're feeling calmer, like that, whatever it is. And so it's worth, to many people, a certain number, to investigate further. And they'll go to the center. That day there were hardly any books. But eventually the same principle is there. People come back to the temple, or now they get on the internet, or they, whatever. They want more association. And so and what is being offered is really the highest thing. The process of bhakti and hearing and chanting and dancing and Hare Krishna that Lord Chaitanya gave. That's a full program. If you really get into that and that's all you do, you're Haridas Thakur, Hare Krishna, 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 all day. It's not easy to do that, but the essence is the same. Is this incredible, powerful mantra. So what I'm getting at is that we shouldn't think when we do some service for the Lord that He needs that. What He's giving us the opportunity to serve Him. Just like the incredible mercy of the Archavigraha, the deities. He agrees to come here and to get the service, imperfect service from those who haven't been trained really that well. But they're sincere, and so He's accepting. This is sincerity. And Prabhupada instituted that as a very important part. It's the Narada Pancharatra and the Bhagavat Pancharatra, and the Bhagavat Marg. In other words, the chanting and the study of Bhagavatam, and this is the basis. But this Archan-Vidhi is important. What would we do without this temple? The temple is here, the deities are here for them. And we can come, anyone can come in Sunday night and see the Lord and hear the chanting and so forth. So it's very, very important. And of course, as soon as you have the deities, you have the prasadam. So they go together. You have the chanting and the deities, the prasadam, and you have the Sunday program. So all of that is for the pleasure of the Lord, and He is pleased by seeing the little baby steps that we're taking toward Him. And He's giving us so much blessing. He's always smiling, and He's giving us the prasadam and all of the facility. So that is the mood of this verse. And what is this idea of when one's own face is decorated, the reflection of one's face in the mirror is also seen to be decorated. So the idea here is that when the devotees decorate the deity in the temple, then they're not so interested in wearing nice clothes themselves. In other words, Prabhupada would make that point, is that you're satisfied by seeing the Lord beautifully decorated, which is bhakti. And you can wear just plain, simple dhoti, or you're not wearing a lot of makeup, because you're not personally trying to attract someone with your own body, which is kind of such a fallacy, It's so. If you think about it, it's kind of pathetic. It's tragic, because what is the body? The body is. There's one verse that was written by. It's in the Padma Purana and taught to me by this Mahavishnu Swami when he was here. Actually, he taught to me when we were in Vrindavan together. Deheshti mangsadudide me batam chajasva, jaya sutari sadama batam vimuncha, pashyani sam chagadidham chanabhangatishtam, vairagya raga rasako bhava bhakti nishtam. So I put it into a little poem, but I have to explain the last line. The last line is, I didn't do justice to. Don't love the body, just a bag of flesh and blood and bone. Give up your sense of ownership for wife and kids and home. At every moment, see that this world totters on destruction. Become detached and learn to love the Lord without obstruction. Now, the last line I like to point out, it says, Vairagya raga. Get attachment for detachment. You see? Become attached to detachment. How can you do it? By becoming a rasika. Vairagya raga rasiko bhava bhakti nishtam. Become fixed in bhakti by becoming really, dedicated to vairagya, detachment, and by cultivating the rasika, by getting the taste. That's what Lord Krishna says in the second chapter. Vishayavanivartandena daharasya dehinam rasavarjam rasapyasa padam drishranavartate. Says anyone can give, just like there's about probably, I don't know how many tens of millions of people in America. The majority of women, but a lot of men, trying to lose weight, right? Trying to lose weight so they'll be more attractive, healthy, and have more energy. So in the process of doing that, they may become serious, and they give, they give up certain foods and make exercise a little bit, So that's vishayavani niraharasya. You can give up the vishayas, you see, and for some time. Vishayavani niraharasya dehina, but the desire for them still remains. Everyone knows I'm on a diet, I know I can't go into the ice cream shop, I'll have that's off my diet, right? But then, you hang out with your friends, okay, just one won't hurt, like that. So Vishaya, but the desire still remains. But giving these things up by getting the higher taste, another padam drishta, by seeing, experiencing Krishna in all the ways, then you can remain fixed in detachment. That was the whole idea, is that we don't give up activity. That's mayavad. No activity. The ideal is you just get merged into Brahman, you don't do anything. That's nirvishesha. That's the nirvishesha that Prabhupada saved us from. No details. No, everyone is the same. We're all just merged together in the bright light, and we're finally free of old age, disease, and death, and birth. How wonderful that is. But that's negative. That's liberation, right? And liberation sounds good when you're in jail. But when you get out of jail, you can't just sit down in the crib, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. No, you have so many things to do, right, in your life. So real spiritual perfection is being liberated of the material, encumbrance, and then returning to our original spiritual activities and our form and our rasa and a relation with Krishna. That's perfection. So we are enjoined by Krishna to get that higher taste by serving Him by, and in this stage it's so easy to get that taste by just chanting Hare Krishna with a little concentration, take the Sunday feast, hang out at the temple, talk to the devotees. That's why people come to the lounge. They want to chant, they want the prasadam, and they want the sangha, in different degrees. They're appreciating. And of course the books are there. The books are important because Prabhupada understood from his guru that you can, how important that is, because you can get the association of whoever wrote the book. When we read the Bhagavad Gita, we're getting the association of Krishna through his words. And of course our appreciation is depending on our receptivity. But we're getting Prabhupada's association also. You see? What could be more auspicious than that? And the potency of these books has been proved again and again. People become fascinated. Sometimes we hear these stories. Yesterday, some lady saw the book table, this recently, and she started crying. I've been looking for such books for years. This is going on because it's such a desert out there. It's a desert. It may appear attractive to some, but even now, it's literally becoming a desert because of the uncontrolled senses and burning all the gas and burning. There's heat waves everywhere. People are dying from being too hot. It's practically unlivable in Miami right now. At 110 degrees every day, so humid, What's that from? Accumulated, unconscious sense gratification, So that can only be addressed. Why isn't it, why, this is interesting. Because it's been known for many, many years. Actually, back in the 80s, there was some scientist who went to Congress and hey, if we keep doing like this, then we're going to increase the greenhouse gases, is going to get too hot, and this is some of it. So some people listened, Exxon, they had their own scientists telling them. What was their response? Well, we have to pay off some scientists to say, no, it's not so dangerous. That way people will still continue buying our oil and gas. Their whole focus, they just live for making profit. That's why the guys at the top of the chain, that's how they got there. One-pointed, The earth can go to hell, billions of people will die, but at least we'll have our billion-dollar yachts or whatever it is. Demonic. This is real demonic, and it's going on everywhere. So that's the earth we live in, but the only hope is Krishna consciousness. Because the ideal, and you enjoy more when you live simply, when you're not so entangled in getting and spending, right? When you live more, then you can easily give it up, and spend your time, chanting and serving and so forth. And Krishna provides. He provides. No one is starving in ISKCON. Prasadam is there. So this is an interesting point. We're not decorating Krishna so that we'll feel satisfied. We're decorating Krishna so he'll feel satisfied. And in the process, because we're part and parcel of Krishna, we're the reflection. We will also feel satisfied and happy to see him so beautiful and attractive. And when people come and they're enthralled by the beauty of the deities, that just makes you more ecstatic. I'm helping Krishna to attract people back to Godhead. This is, And the same thing is true for distributing books. I've worked on these books for 50 years, helping bring these books out. So the whole thing, when I hear the scores, I'm enlivened because it makes my life meaningful. If the books don't go out, they just sit on the shelf, then what's the point? But to distribute, of course, Prabhupada, he was the prime mover of this on the order of a spiritual master, right? He's following the orders. So and also we need to take advantage of them as well, and take the knowledge and I don't usually mention this, but Prabhupada, there's this one pastime, if you will. He had left LA, and there was a few devotees with him. Some of them were sannyasis and everything. This was in 1970, after 8 months there, sitting in LA, working on his books, and he planned to stay there because the management was taken care of. It was such a nice atmosphere, and he could just run on his books. But Krishna didn't want that, and some difficulty happened. He left LA, and then they were reading wherever he went, and they're from the second canto, beginning of the second canto. This is where Shukadev comes in and he starts speaking. The first canto is like a big introduction, very important instructions there. But then the Bhagavatam starts anew in the second canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It starts there, the second canon. So that's the verses they were reading, and there's a whole lesson there in about 6 or 8 verses. That's a complete lesson Shukadeva is speaking to Pariksit. His question is, what should one think of at the time of death? And Prabhupada makes the point, we're all at that point. We don't know how long we have, and we should be working at it. So anyway, he was having the devotees, 6 or 8 devotees, memorize the verses as they went on the class, And each time they would go through it. So after a while, the class took a long time because they were all reciting all the verses that they just read. But he made the point there, and I have a slideshow, and I didn't call it up here, but I will next time. That we should try to get these verses by heart. He mentioned especially Kunti's prayers. I think you've taken this seriously. Your chanting was flawless here. It was very good. And others are good too. I'm not just saying. But the point is, Prabhupada, why did he put all the synonyms in there? You realize how much that expands the book? You find other books, say other translators, never synonyms and almost never transliteration. Simply the Devanagari, the translation, and maybe some commentary. But Prabhupada, he did all that at great effort, and so that we could chant them and we could relish, some of these, especially these leading verses. So that this is another way in which we become Krishna conscious. Because so much instruction is there in such a beautiful way, expressed in such a beautiful way. The Brahma Samhita, I was just listening to Prabhupada, I don't know, I think there's one class that's been recorded on text 29, which is the first, Govinda prayers. And Prabhupada is chanting it in such an attractive way, and devotees picked up on that, and they were chanting. So that's part of Prabhupada's gift, the whole culture, to absorb ourselves in the sound vibration and to give it to others and dedicate ourselves, as Prahlad is such a perfect example of this. He, that famous verse, of this share again, is never stale. Naivo dvijay padadodatya vaitaranyas. We heard this, I think, last night from Nirantar. Naivo dvijay padadodatya vaitaranyas tvadvi yagayana mahamata among the chitta. So he uses the same word that he used when he first started preaching to his father. You remember the whole thing begins when his father takes him on his lap. What's the best thing you learned today? He has no idea that he's blocked at that point. He's hoping to hear some, Machiavellian politics or something, trained. And Prahlad says, Tat sadhumanne, the best thing I heard, Tat sadhumanne asudabharya dehinam sada samudvigna dhyam asadgrahat. So he said, the best thing, oh father, he doesn't say father, probably makes the point, he calls him the best of the demons, asudabharya. Best for whom? Dehinam, for every embodied soul. Who is sada samudvigna dhyam asadgrahat. Sada means always, some completely, udvigna, disturbed. Is always disturbed in the conditioned state, more or less. The intelligence of Siddhim. Why? Asadgrahat, because they're holding on for dear life to the temporary. It's like holding on to a life preserver that's leaking. You're going to be in anxiety. What happens when it leaks and sink into the ocean here? So that's he uses that same udvigna. Udvigna means disturbed, distressed, which is a condition of material life. But here in this phrase, na udvijay, naiva. Naiva is the source of the word never. You see, Sanskrit has these same words. And I just thought of this. The word matter is close to mother, isn't it? Matter. And this mata is there in Sanskrit, the same word, nama. But matter, this is a mother. What does it say? Sarva yoni shakuntiya murtiyak sambhavandiya tasam brahma mahad yoni aham bija padakpada. I am the seed-giving father, and give the seed into this Brahman, which is the great material energy, can be called Brahman. I give that seed. Anyway, that's another thing. So sada samudvigna. So Prahlad says, naivodvijay. I'm never disturbed. I'm sitting. Naivodvijay podadoratya vaitaranyas, because I've already crossed over the difficult to cross over Vaitarani river by being fully conscious of you, who are always across. And how do I experience it? Tvadvi yagayana mahamata magna chitta. that any time I want, I can sing your glories and immerse my mind in an ocean of nectar. And he showed it. Even in, they threw him into a vat of boiling oil, but he was chanting and Krishna's glories, remembering in his mind, and he felt he's in an ocean of nectar. That's amazing. So he's undisturbed. He has no problem. I have no problem. But then he says, amazingly, Shochetato, I am lamenting. Shocheta is lamenting. What for what? Shocheta, vimukha cetasa. Vimukha cetasa, that mukha is here in this verse, means face. So vimukha means turning your face away. The materialists turn their face away from Krishna. And with the face comes the consciousness is changed. Vimukha cetasa, for what? Indriyartha maya sukaya, for the illusory happiness of pleasing the senses. Indriyartha maya sukaya. Bottom, bearing the great burden of trying to arrange for this sense gratification. And oftentimes it just becomes misery, from that. Bottom udvahato, maya sukaya bottom udvahato vimudhan. Udvahato, again, disturbed, these fools and rascals. So what does it mean? Next verse, I won't get into the Sanskrit, but it says, most of these transcendentalists and munis, they're concerned only with their own mukti. It's a fine type of sense gratification. If we're only concerned with being comfortable in this world and getting rid of the misery, that's another kind of sense gratification. So he says, literally, Pranadeva Muniyo Swava Mukti Kama. They're lusty for their own mukti. And therefore they go alone, they're not concerned about any people, and they wander in the Himalayas and everything. I'm not like them. I'm going to stay here because I don't see anyone but you who can help them. He's praying to the Lord. And I have to give them you. I'm the medium by which they'll be able to get you. In other words, he's going to keep preaching. That's the mood of a devotee. He's always experiencing, Prabhupada showed it, he was always happy and peaceful within himself in any circumstance, because he's living, Ramananda Roy. Part of the teachings there is that the great devotees, they live on two planes. Externally, they're interacting with the world, but internally, they're living, they're engaging in their eternal service with Krishna. And so they're always able, they're super tolerant, like Prahlad, they can live, Prabhupada showed it. And so twofold emotion or plane of the devotees. Internally, Prahlad is always with Krishna, enjoying, it's peaceful, non-envious, But externally, he's worried, how am I going to save these poor souls? These vimudhas who are, trying to enjoy. So that's the example. And the more that we glorify Krishna, the more that you become glorious. We don't want to become glorious. We're just hoping that Krishna will be glorified. That's our pleasure, But automatically, the Prabhupada became famous, His mission, he didn't rest. He didn't stay anywhere for any length of time. He was traveling until ultimately he couldn't travel anymore. And even then, he was trying to give the books, trying to preach, So he's our example, and he was inspired. All the great Vaishnavas are inspired by Prahlad. And he's going to give these very, very erudite prayers. There's so many of them are memorable, and we can look forward to that. So it is late. Any little question or comment we can entertain? We had our Ramananda Roy. Something? All right. Yeah, we need a mic. We have an audience outside YouTube.
Hi, Kṛṣṇa
Prabhu.
I have a question. I know you release this service very much by doing Bani Seva, by contributing to translate and to work on Srila Prabhupada's book. So what would be your suggestion for a neophyte devotee to kind of get attached to studying Prabhupada's books and...
Well, they have a nice program here. I don't know how many times. Is it once a week? You have a reading. The best way to relish the books, really, if you have a chance, is to read with others, And you can read and you can discuss, and if you find a verse that really inspires you, say, well, let's memorize this verse. You can help each other like that, I have a bunch of recordings I can make available. I don't sell them any. I just give them away. And some of them are from the writings of Rupa Goswami. And I have recorded all of the 10th canto, just the translations, and oftentimes the prayers, like the prayers of Akrura and Brahma and the gopis' songs and everything is there, so you can get some idea of the Sanskrit. But that's the best way to do it, is to have a reading circle, or at least two people getting together. You can discuss, and it's very that's the central experience of our this process of Bhakti Marga is hearing and chanting together. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. Kapila Dev says, it's a very famous verse. Satam prasangan means, and it's interesting, it's not just sangha, it's prasanga. Prasanga means very significant association. You're not just sitting in the same room chatting, You're talking about Krishna, you're glorifying, and oftentimes, you'll have someone who's superior, even the guru is there. That's prasanga, you're hearing submissively, asking questions. So similarly, we can share the association of Srila Prabhupada and all of the great souls who appear in the Bhagavatam, beginning with Krishna himself, but also Narada Muni and Prahlad here. You're actually associated with them, and so that's a great way to get a taste for hearing. And then, if someone who's experienced at it can drill you in the memorization. Because there's certain techniques to know. You seem to be pretty experienced at it. But, the meter, there's so much that the art and the... Like Prabhupada loved this verse because not only the meter, but the alliteration. The anupras, it's famous verse. Samashitaye padapallava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho morade babambude vatsapadam param padam 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 yad vibadam natesha. You have to be deaf not to be able to appreciate it. So it's very famous verse. Samashita, one who takes full shelter of the lotus feet of Murari, the enemy of the Muradim. Padapallava plavam. Mahatpadam. What are those feet? Mahatpadam. They are the place where all the Mahatmas stay. And it's also the base of the Mahatattva. Everything is resting on him. That's two meanings. And just Punya Yasho Murari. Murari, just his glorification automatically brings piety. That's Punya Yasho Murari. Then what happens? That's like a boat. But a plava is a boat. So Bhavambudir, this whole ocean of birth and death, shrinks down to the water, not even in a cow's hoofprint, a calf's hoofprint, a little tiny calf. So you take the shelter of that boat, you don't need the boat anymore, you can just step over it. Bhavambudir Vatsapadam, Parampadam, because they're already situated in the supreme abode, Parampadam. Padam, every step, the Advipadam, this world where there's danger at every step is not for them. They don't have to stay here. Even if physically they may be here, they're actually back to Godhead because their consciousness is there. Prabhupada would say, I'm actually still living in Vrindavan. He's sitting on 2nd Avenue, the big river of traffic noise outside the door. But he's saying, yes, but I'm also, relishing Vrindavan. I'm missing my Vrindavan, seeking. So that is... the Bhagavatam is just filled with beautiful verses like that. Prabhupada actually said at one point we should memorize the Kunti prayers, and there's a recording of him chanting them. So that's how to get a real taste, and it's invaluable association. You can find someone to read with. Okay. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.